Hey YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and we are talking waiver wire ads for Week 12 of the NFL season. Hopefully you guys came out of Week 11 with a victory, and we're getting closer and closer to the fantasy playoffs, so these waiver wire pickups are crucial, and hopefully this helps you guys out. So let's jump right into it. All right, so Week 12 of the NFL season is here. We're getting closer and closer to the end of the season, unfortunately, but we've got some great games ahead of us, but we've got a lot of bye weeks to deal with and, of course, injuries. So this waiver wire video is going to help you guys kind of navigate and figure out where these players should be in your consideration and maybe add. And, of course, if you have questions, hit me up in the comments down below. Now, I've got players here. Before I start that, though, there are a lot of teams on a bye. You've got the Jaguars, the Bills, the Saints, the Falcons, the Bengals, and I think the Jets. So a lot of teams are on a bye week this week, so there are a lot of players you guys are going to have to deal with and figure out and really just kind of play the waiver wire game this week. Now, some of these players may be just a borrow for this week, and some of these players may be someone that might help you the rest of the season, so let's pay attention. Now, the first player I'm going to mention is Bo Nix. I consistently talk about Bo Nix. He is available in 51% of leagues. He's going against the Raiders this week, and Bo Nix just came off one of his best performances this past season with 4 passing touchdowns in his first 300-yard passing game. Nix is currently quarterback 7 for fantasy this year, and he is not slowing down. He has a juicy matchup against the Raiders, who just gave up 3 touchdowns to Tua and the Miami Dolphins. Man, like at this point, Bo Nix should be available maybe 1% of leagues, depending on how crazy the league is. But right now, the fact that he's still available in over 50% of leagues is blowing my mind. He's a top 10 fantasy quarterback. Whether you believe it or not, it's happening. Make sure you grab him. Now, another quarterback I'm going to mention is somebody that he may be someone you have to pick up because of all the bye weeks that's going on, but I've got Geno Smith as a nice one. Geno Smith is going against the Arizona Cardinals this week, and he's available in 43% of leagues, which is kind of crazy because he's available in less leagues than Bo Nix. Geno didn't have a great game this past Sunday, but that was expected. He only put up 14 points the first matchup against the 49ers, and he only put up 16 points this past weekend. And only because of that rushing touchdown that's kind of saved him. Now, he does have a better matchup against the Arizona Cardinals, who are, again, average at best when it comes to the defensive side. So if you're desperate for a bye week fill or you're dealing with injuries at the quarterback position, Geno should be someone you consider. Now, I don't really have any running backs this week to kind of talk about. Most running backs are pretty much taken. I mean, unless you're in a really deep league, maybe Tracy Jr.'s out there or something like that, but I don't want to really jump into the running back position. Now, wide receiver, the first player I'm going to mention is going to be Jeudy versus the Steelers this week. He's available in 49% of leagues, and I had to talk about Jeudy. Now, I don't expect lightning to hit twice. Like, Judy's performance this past Sunday was absolutely amazing, and if you had started him, you probably ended up having a successful week and probably winning this week. He put up 26 points. He averaged, before that though, I'll give him credit, the last 2 games before that, he was still averaging about 13 points. So he was a nice little flex play. Ever since Jameis Winston has come in at the quarterback position, the wide receivers have actually been really successful when it comes to fantasy aspect. And realistically, in the last 3 games, Jeudy has seen 30 targets his way. He's averaging 10 targets a game in the last 3 weeks. So Jeudy is definitely a wide receiver that you should consider. I would say an upside of possibly a high wide receiver 2, low wide receiver 1, but he's definitely a solid flex each week. So Jeudy should be on your roster. Another receiver I like this week is going to be Quentin Johnston versus the Ravens. I've mentioned Quentin Johnston plenty of times before. He's available in 59% of leagues. Quentin is on a nice little touchdown streak. You got to give him credit. He has scored in each of the last 3 games, and he's averaged 15 points in those 3 games as well. Now, he's got a great matchup against the Rams this week. The Ravens. The Ravens are one of the worst opposing wide receiver against the opposing wide receivers. They are just absolutely horrendous. Everybody who plays against the Ravens tend to have a great game. And Quentin Johnston's got a really developed a nice relationship with Justin Herbert. I still love Ladd McConkey too. If he's out there, you may want to even consider grabbing him this week. But I want to mention Quentin Johnston because he's kind of been the red zone threat. He's kind of been the big play guy. So I really like Quentin Johnston this week. He should be considered a grab. Another wide receiver, he's kind of more in a deeper aspect, deeper leagues, deeper sleeper. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. It's a tough last name there, but he's available in 96% of leagues, and they're going against the Houston Texans this week. Houston Texans just gave up a big play against Kevontae Turpin for the Dallas Cowboys, who are horrendous, and they even gave up quite a bit of points to CeeDee Lamb when that's with Cooper Rush at quarterback. So the defensive side of Texans have struggled, and they're allowing plays to happen, big plays to happen. So this is a really good week for Nick to be kind of added to a roster if you're in a deeper league, or if maybe you're just kind of going out on a whim. I actually have him in a few leagues because I felt like he's gotten that big boom play, and he's actually done really, really well. Since coming off week 6, coming back from his injury, he's averaging 11.7 points a game, which is okay, but he scored 5 touchdowns in 6 games, which is phenomenal. And he's got a really good schedule the rest of the season, so he's definitely somebody you may want to add. Now, jumping into the tight end position, I've got Jonnu Smith as a great option at the tight end position. He's available in 46% of leagues, and they're going against the Patriots this week. Jonnu is coming off his best performance this season with 28 fantasy points, and he scored 2 touchdowns with over 100 receiving yards. He continues to be a crucial part in this offense, and he saw 8 targets last week. And the matchup against the Patriots earlier this season, he scored 11 fantasy points, and he still saw 8 targets in that one as well. Now, obviously, that was without Tua. With Tua in there, I think it still only helps. And the fact is, you still got to deal with Tyreek Hill. You still got to deal with Jalen Waddle. So Jonnu is definitely forgotten a lot of the time. So defensively, you got to pick your poison and figure out who you want to play. I think Jonnu is definitely worth a grab this week, and he should be a tight end you're needing. Now, the other tight end I'm going to mention is going to be Taysom Hill. Now, he could be a quarterback. He could be a tight end, depending on how or who you're using as far as your fantasy, software or app or whatever it might be. But Taysom Hill definitely has to be considered. Now, he is on a bye week this week, but he's available in 46% of leagues, so he's definitely worth the stash. Taysom Hill has been amazing. He was the best player in week 11, finished with 138 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns. And as a tight end, that is amazing. That is completely unfair. He put up over 40 points. Now, the Saints, again, don't play this week, and they do have a soft schedule the rest of the season. It's definitely worth looking at. If you look at their schedule for the next few weeks, it is not great. They're playing against really poor defenses. He has awesome opportunities. And realistically, with Chris Olave out, Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill are really the only offensive weapons they really have. So Taysom Hill should be added. So those are my Week 12 waiver wire ads you should put on your roster. Now, of course, if you guys have questions, hit me up in the comments down below. If you haven't already, make sure you guys just subscribe, hit that like button, and I'll check you guys out next time.